As a kid, I was a really horrible typer. My typing speed was really sluggish, and I used a method that makes me cringe when other people do it. It's what I like to call the poking method, in which you use your two index fingers to type. Now, as I grew older, I began to pick up speed and use the proper typing techniques. Along the road, actually back when I was using the poking method at a speed of 0.6 words per minute, I looked through my shelf of children's games and eventually pulled out SpongeBob SquarePants Typing.
This game was developed for Windows and Macintosh by Riverdeep Interactive Learning and published in 2004 by Nickelodeon and the Learning Company. And yes, this is my actual copy from way back, and I still have the jewel case, unlike my General Mills CD games, which never actually came in a jewel case. I don't remember much about playing this game as a kid, apart from the fact that I sucked at it because I didn't use proper form. But now that I type like I don't acknowledge the existence of my other fingers, and I started this whole YouTube show, I can now fully experience what I don't remember much of. The cover art is very SpongeBob themed, but rather boring and has that everyone on the cover is smiling cliche. Oh, and by the way, this game has nothing to do with the Krabby Patty secret formula, so sorry Plankton, as you'll see here in a bit. The back really tries to push the game as really exciting, even if it is just a typing program. Also, something worth noting in the system requirements, one of the requirements say that you need speakers. Yep, you can't get any more simplistic than that. Nah, you don't need those silly headphones. We need to rock some speakers to immerse ourselves in typing. Yeah, just plop some speakers down and prepare to fill your room with the exciting world of typing and SpongeBob. Just a little warning to those attempting to play the game on anything that is Windows Vista or higher. For some reason, every time you attempt to run the game, it prompts TUAC, so that's always fun. Once you hit play, you're immediately prompted to select a user from the list. If you're creating a new user for the first time, start typing right away and do not hit new player, as that's used when there are already more than one user already on the list. But once you start typing, you'll notice that SpongeBob can't handle fast typing.
E-L-G-Y-N.
This is the only time you'll listen to the letters, as the rest of the game requires your full attention to the screen. When starting a game up for the first time, you get an introductory cutscene explaining what the plot is of the game. One day, Mr. Krabs was rummaging through the dumpster to see if
They've been throwing away me slightly used pickles.
whoever they is. It was then that he finds a typewriter that he mistakes for a cash register. This is where the creators show a lack of knowledge for physics. Squidward then walks over to Mr. Krabs to call him out on his pure stupidity. Mr. Krabs then has an idea to make more money by selling a burger with a typewriter as one of the ingredients. Seeing that his idea failed miserably for what seems to be very obvious reasons, he then has an idea about hosting a typing tournament at the Krusty Krab where the prize is a peanut butter and jellyfish jelly sandwich, which seems to have worked somehow and manages to get the whole town in a line. SpongeBob, not knowing what the line is for, jumps in because he seems to have an interest for jumping in random lines. It is then revealed to him that he's standing in line for the tournament and then decides then and only then to participate. He then gets the help of the player to defeat everyone in the competition.
Good luck. You'll need it.
Squidward has his doubts, but little does he know, he's dealing with a professional typist! Once you're in the main menu, you can select any of the following modes. The options menu lets you view the standings against you and the other people in Bikini Bottom, the printable certificates you've unlocked throughout the Bikini Bottom typing tournament, more on that later, keys that you can improve upon, audio adjustments, and the finger positions. Practice mode allows you to practice with some paragraphs to work with. This allows you to get familiar with the keyboard and try to increase your typing speed in words per minute. But it doesn't actually show words per minute, as it actually shows accurate words per minute. And being an old typing program, I suspect that it may use a different algorithm to detect how fast your typing speed is, unlike that of modern applications and games such as Type Racer. I mean, I could probably get to 67 in that game, but here it's more like 57. The black screen you see in front of you shows what needs to be typed, along with an indicator telling you whether or not you've made a mistake. Every time you do make a mistake, the program always makes a somewhat faint beep. The bottom of the screen is very interesting. what you're seeing is known as the guide hands. This is the only program that I know of that uses these guide hands. As you can see, the guide hands indicate where your finger should be for the letter at which the cursor is underneath, so that you can learn how to properly touch type. On the right, you'll find a progress meter that shows your progress in packaged kelp for some reason. On the left, you'll find a start over button and SpongeBob. Whenever you see SpongeBob poking out of a window like this, it means that he can show you around the current screen like what I'm doing here. Glove World allows you to play one of 5 minigames. Snail Space Race has nothing to do with the Great Snail Race, which actually aired a year before this game came out, but it pits Gary against Slime Biscuit, a character made specifically for SpongeBob SquarePants typing, in a race, and your job is to type a bunch of gibberish to make Gary move until he reaches the finish line and defeat Slime Biscuit. Glove World 500 is essentially the same concept, but SpongeBob races against Squidward and cars, and every mistake makes stuff splat on your windshield. Oh, and actual English is being typed. Senseless Patrick is a bit like Pac-Man, but with a twist. Patrick lost his senses somehow, and SpongeBob shrunk himself using Mermaid Man's belt and got inside of Patrick. What you have to do is grab all of his senses while avoiding these germs. To move, you press a letter on the keyboard that pertains to the direction you want to go. If you encounter one of these cloud things, you have to type a simple sentence to break it. It's kind of interesting, but only has one level and a few maze configurations. Doremi is a lackluster music game, and no, it is not a rhythm game since you just have to press keys within the set time limit. A Star is Born is basically a game where you dress Patrick by typing in colored words. Typing 3 words of the same color will complete the game, and you'll see what kind of a mess you've made. This is the only game, by the way, where the French narrator appears. So right now, we're about to experience the main event right here, the Bikini Bottom Typing Tournament. This is what is supposedly the main event, but first, a lesson on ergonomics.
Throughout the tournament, we would request that all typists maintain the correct typing posture. If you don't sit properly, you may experience back, arm, or shoulder pain. You might even end up looking like this.
I get what you're trying to say, but to say that I would like I'm having a big seizure is a huge understatement. Censorship at its worst. Moving on then. The tournament is about to get underway. It's going to get really intense. The fighters are warming up. It's a typing tutor. Yep. That's the main event here. A typing tutor. I don't mind the typing tutor part, but the way it's portrayed as being as big as a sports game is just really makes it really underwhelming. The layout is similar to the practice mode, but Krusty Krab themed, and you do the same thing, but with lessons, quizzes, and tests. They work like this. First a lesson, then a drill, and then a Glove World game, and finally a quiz, but you can choose to jump straight into the quiz if you feel confident enough. There are lessons on learning new areas of the keyboard, 20 of them to be exact, 3 of which are only for improving typing speed until 25 words per minute. And what's at the end? Sadly, it's another disappointing ending. The same repetitive music plays throughout, SpongeBob wins, gets the top prize, and mumbles stuff, which the news reporter takes as serious advice for some reason. SpongeBob then keeps munching on his infinity sandwich, and then the game ends. That's it. And I thought Who Wants to Be a Millionaire had a bad ending, but this is even worse. Because it's not very exciting. It doesn't really give you a sense of reward. Nope, it's just casual SpongeBob stuff. So what do I think of SpongeBob SquarePants typing? It's a useful typing tutor, but the way it's presented is very disappointing. It has a complete lack of content, repetitive music, lazily animated sprites, and a whole bunch of other flaws. Should you pick it up? Sure, but don't expect a whole lot of fun to come out of this, and you really should only be expecting a very simple typing tutor program.